You know, for these guys to be in a so-called race war, they don't seem to really care about the victims in it, nor do they seem to stay updated as soon as it happens. I'm just gonna get this picture of this young man. I'm gonna read it really quick. Unarmed boy. Could have just said boy, but they had to make sure that you knew that he was unarmed. 12, sitting on bed, shot in knee during police raid, lawsuit says. Check this out. A 12-year-old boy sat on his bed in his family's suburban Chicago home with his hands up. Outside of his bedroom, almost 2 dozen SWAT officers were executing a search warrant for his mother's boyfriend. That's when fast moving events on the early morning of May 26 converged into the terrifying moment Amir Worship, who was shirtless and unarmed. Why would a 12 listen, why would a 12-year-old boy be fucking armed? Was shot in the knee by an officer, according to the family's lawsuit. And I know why he would say that, but that's so much disrespect. So much disrespect. According to the family's lawsuit filed Thursday in Cook County Circuit Court alleging negligence, while the boyfriend was apprehended, the complaint says an officer in the bedroom with the mayor had ordered him to put his shoes on and was examining the child's shoe with the flashlight while keeping his automatic rifle aimed at him. Then the officer's gun discharged, with a bullet shattering the boy's kneecap as he sat on the edge of the bed, the family said. Mom, they shot me, Amir screamed, according to the complaint described by the 5 a.m. raid in Markham, South Chicago. I can't move, he said in reference to his right leg. What is that? There are children in the house, his mother, Christian Worship, responded after hearing the sound of deafeningly loud gunshot. Deafeningly loud gunshot, according to the suit. Are you shooting them? The suit alleges the gun's safety lock position was not on, even though the room had already been cleared and secured minutes earlier, and it was obvious that Amir was a child and was no threat to the officers. Let me go ahead and say something. The fact that this even happened is totally fucking egregious. And the fact that none of your so-called frontline B1, whatever the fuck they want to be, you understand? Ain't really like went all in. Don't worry, I've looked around. None of them have said anything. They're trash ass garbage. Then, as the officer was giving Amir the shoe back, he quickly moved his right hand back to the handle and the trigger of his rifle, grabbing it and firing it, the suit alleged. The officer had asked Amir how old he was. Worship officers grabbed the back of her neck and took her to the police station. Worship said officers grabbed her by the back of her neck and took her to the police station instead of the hospital to see her son. At a news conference Thursday, Worship became emotional as she recounted how the raid has traumatized her children as well as herself. Our lives changed behind this, Worship said. It will never be the same. Amir's older brothers, Eric, 13, and Robert, 18, were sleeping in another room when flashbang grenades used in the raid woke them up, the complaint said. Officers stormed into the bedroom and pointed automatic rifles at their faces, they said. Eric was placed in handcuffs for up to 60 minutes, and he and his brother were also taken to the police station for questioning, the suit said. Eric was detained for 6 hours. No word on Robert, so he could still be detained. Meanwhile, Amir needed surgery on his kneecap, which required 25 stitches along the entry wound. He was hospitalized for 4 days, the family said. After the incident, he moved to Texas and continues to undergo physical therapy. He's my angel as a mom. I'm supposed to protect him, and I wasn't there. Worship told reporters. Prior to the incident, her children had never had an encounter with police, she added. Amir now has nightmares that police could harm him and his brothers, and the once active athlete stays indoors with blinds drawn, unable to walk or run like he once did, according to the suit. The complaint said officers in the raid from the neighboring communities of Country Club Hills and Richton Park. The complaint said officers in the raid were from the neighboring communities of Country Club Hills and Richton Park. Police officials did not immediately return calls Friday seeking comment. Police were serving a search warrant for Worship's boyfriend, Mitchell Thurman, on drug and gun possession charges. Those charges were later dismissed. In addition, no one in the Worship family was charged in the incident, said their attorney, Al Hopefield Jr. The family suit is seeking damages in excess of $50,000, alleging negligence, willful and wanton conduct, assault, battery, false arrest, and emotional distress. Hopefield said Thursday he is seeking fair compensation for the family and to see this police practice of pointing guns at young children changed. In a May, in a in May, a Chicago mother filed a lawsuit after she said her 8-year-old son was handcuffed by police in a raid for 40 minutes following an early morning SWAT raid. 2 years ago, a Justice Department investigation found that Chicago police routinely violated people's rights, particularly black and Latinos, and habitually used excessive force against children. Let me go ahead and say something real quick before I end this shit, because I really don't care for these pro anything dudes. Because I'm pro us. Been pro us. Will always be pro us. I don't care about nobody who's. Look, man. If we can question who you are just by looking at you, then you need to calm all your talk down. Okay. Number one. Number two. All right. This little boy will never be the same. Ever. Okay. His life physically is forever changed. And to know if he'll ever come back from that, who knows? You see what I'm saying? Like that's deep. And this is the type of shit I be talking about with people. Is like they can say, "Oh, it's a race war." It's like, no, it's like, look, man, people do shit that get you put in a position, okay, to have this happen. Now, I could say that the charges on dude are flimsy, but who knows if the charges for the drug possession and the gun, who knows? Somebody could have told on him, whatever. He could have been moving real sloppy, whatever. I don't know. Dude might not be selling no dope or no none of that, because it didn't say that they found guns and drugs in the raid. It just said that dude was apprehended, and nobody else was charged with anything. So whatever he was charged with, right on, they're not charged with. And so it's just my thing where, man, these people are sick, you know. Now, they might have focused on the other younger brother who's 13 as opposed to the 18-year-old one, feeling like people wouldn't feel any sympathy because he's a young man. But let me tell y'all something. The other day, there was an article. This white boy, they called him a teenager, okay? And then this other young black boy called him a man. Now, they're both 19, okay? Now, I thought it was amazing that shit that's how it went. But once again, your frontliners really aren't on their job, and I don't have time to do their job for them because they have the following. You understand? They're supposed to do all that. These dudes are, once again, man, I could go all in on these cats, but I'm not going to. Stay tuned, because I will be, you know how I do. Age Aram out classic.